My name is Craig Gundersen, and I'm the Soybean Industry Endowed Professor of Agricultural Strategy in the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Economics at the University of Illinois. I'm also the Executive Director of the National Soybean Research Laboratory here at University of Illinois. Today we're going to look at food policy, and in particular we're going to look at food policy as it pertains to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, formerly known as the Food Stamp Program, and the National School Lunch Program. And today I have three primary objectives for what we're going to be covering in the lecture today. The first is to understand the goals, structure, and eligibility criteria of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, which was formerly known as the Food Stamp Program. Second, understand the goals, structure, and eligibility criteria of the National School Lunch Program, NSLP, which is oftentimes known as just school lunch. And understand the unintended consequences of proposals to change various aspects of SNAP and NSLP. SNAP, it has the primary goal is to alleviate hunger and improve the well-being of poor people in the United States. And what we have to remember with a program like this is that as recently as 50 years ago there were serious problems with malnutrition in parts of all across the United States, but especially in pockets, including in Appalachia and in the Mississippi Delta, where you would have children that were literally suffering from stunting and wasting due to malnutrition. So what was called then the Food Stamp Program began on a county level basis in 1964, and it became a national program in 1974. The way the structure of this program works is that the USDA issues food stamps to families which can be used in retail food outlets. They're technically not food stamps, they used to be these coupons that you could use at stores, but now they're distributed via electronic benefit transfer cards, which are structurally similar to ATM cards. Here in Illinois, it's oftentimes called link card. So you'll see signs at stores which say link cards accepted here. The amount of benefits that a family gets, it depends upon their income level and their family size. So households with higher incomes will get less benefit than those households with lower incomes. Households with more members will have larger benefits than those with fewer children or adults. This differs from other assistance programs in the United States where either you get the benefit or you don't get the benefit. So this is on a sliding scale such that those who are in most need will get more of the benefit and those in less need will get less of the benefit. This is not a small program. The maximum benefit level for a family of four is approximately $668 a month. So this is a substantial amount of money that at a maximum people can use to spend on food for their families. The average benefit size is almost $300. So again, not a small amount. So not only is the program large in terms of the size of the benefits, but the number of people that it reaches is quite large. Currently, it serves about 45 million persons. This number is at an all-time high in part due to the effects of the Great Recession, which led to increased need in the United States. It's the largest near cash assistance program. So when we talk about the social safety net in the United States, any discussion about the social safety net has to include a discussion of SNAP. And in particular, any discussion of the food assistance social safety net has to include a discussion of SNAP. In government spending, for whatever program we talk about, government only has a limited amount of money to spend on these programs. So what we want to do is we want to make sure those who are in most need receive benefits from the program, and those who are in less need either receive less benefits or do not receive any benefits at all. So the three criteria, the first is the gross income test. And so there we have to have gross income which is less than 130% of the poverty line. So just setting poverty line times 1.3 as it is in this case. So for a family of four, this is roughly $30,000. So a family of four has to have income less than $30,000. Some states have set the gross income test at a higher level, as high as 200% of the poverty line, but most states, including Illinois, have theirs set at 130%. Second test is the net income test. And here somebody's net monthly income after various deductions has to be less than the poverty line. Now, for those who pass the gross income test in states that they use 130% of the poverty line, most everybody is also net income eligible. Some of these states with higher thresholds somebody may be eligible under the gross income test, but not the net income test. Net income, as calculated here, is then used to determine benefit levels. So for example, if somebody has zero net income, they would get the maximum benefit level, which I discussed on the previous slide. If they get closer to the poverty line, in terms of their net income, they will get less in benefits. So along with having somebody has to be gross income and net income poor, they also have to be asset poor. In other words, they can't have assets that they can draw down upon in order to feed themselves and their families. The official cutoff is $2,000, and that includes the value of a car above $4,600. And so if somebody has, like, for example, a car that's worth $6,600 or more, they are ineligible for SNAP. Most states today, however, waive this asset test. Despite the monetary benefits of this and despite the proven health benefits associated with SNAP, is still, depending upon how measured, between 30 and 40% of eligible households do not participate in this program. So I want to talk about three of the main reasons. The first is stigma. Some people will oftentimes have a negative impression of those who are receiving SNAP. They may see them as lazy or something. There's a lot of stigma and a lot of discrimination against those who are overweight, and this has taken place in the context of SNAP as well. Second reason is transaction costs. So to sign up for SNAP, it takes quite a bit of time. Its estimate is that the first time when somebody signs up, it's about 6 hours worth of time due to all the forms that have to be filled out, all the information that has to be provided. This is rather onerous. And also along these lines is you have to recertify, depending upon the category somebody's in, between every 3 months to once a year. So this will discourage people from applying for SNAP. The third reason is that for some people at least, it's low benefit levels. So if I'm getting, let's say, $550 a month, I may be willing to put up with the stigma, I may be willing to put up with the transaction cost, but if I'm scheduled to receive the minimum, which is $10 a month, I may say it's just not worth it to go with these other things. The National School Lunch Program serves over 30 million children every day during the school year. This program is expected to have a positive impact on the well-being of children. First, by giving children a lunch, but also is that there's guidelines for lunches, and you can see them on here, what the guidelines for these lunches are in terms of this. These are the old rules that were proposed for the National School Lunch Program. The new rules that have been proposed are still being implemented. Turning to the eligibility criteria is that there's an income criteria, is that it's free if somebody's household income is less than 130% of the poverty line. It's reduced price if household income is between 130 and 185% of the poverty line, and it's full price if household income is above 185% of the poverty line. So unlike SNAP, whereby either if you're income eligible, you participate in the program, and if you're not income eligible and asset eligible, you don't participate in the program. National School Lunch's program is different, is that for low-income households is this free or reduced price lunch. For non-low-income households, you can still participate in the program, you just have to pay full price. The other part of the eligibility criteria is that you must attend a school with a National School Lunch Program. In low-income countries, to low and middle-income countries that have school meals, is oftentimes the reason why they'll have school meals is to induce children to stay in school. So, since the outset of SNAP, there's been various proposals to restrict benefits. Given the increasing obsession with obesity in our society, there's been a number of other proposals in recent years. From the quote-unquote left is the New York Department of Health and Mental Hygiene and Human Resources Administration proposed that SNAP could not be used to purchase sugar-sweetened beverages. These mainly came from the left, and then recently from quote-unquote the right. And so in Maine, the rule was said is that any product that was subject to the state sales tax would be banned from SNAP purchases. So this would include sugar-sweetened beverages, but also a wide array of other things. In Wisconsin, 2/3 of the SNAP purchases have to be in quote-unquote, and it's quote-unquote healthy foods, because how healthy foods is defined was never really defined in this. But this is how they talked about, so that's the way, one of the proposals in Wisconsin. And then in South Carolina, Governor Haley made a proposal that only WIC-eligible products could be purchased. WIC is a special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children, and the amount of products that are on that category is very, very limited. So these were four of the proposals that have been made in recent years. One thing that we talk about in economics a lot is that whenever a policy is implemented, you have to look at what the intended effect might be, but also you have to look at what the unintended consequences are likely to be. And so you have to take a more holistic perspective in terms of this to say, okay, well, if you do this, here is what is likely to happen. Whenever people get more money, it's not that they just spend on more food. They may spend on more food, but oftentimes what they'll do is spend on healthier foods. So if these restrictions were imposed, it would not lead to reductions in obesity, or we wouldn't even expect that. So the main goal of those who are imposing these restrictions wouldn't probably be met by imposing these restrictions. But I can say without any hesitation that it would lead to increases in negative health outcomes. And the main reason is, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, is that SNAP has all these positive impacts on people's health. It leads to reductions in poverty, leads to reductions in food insecurity, it leads to improvements in general health, it leads to improvements in nutrients. All these things are beneficial that are associated with SNAP. But due to these restrictions you would have a decline in SNAP participation. The first one is that you have declines in SNAP due to increases in stigma. This makes sense because if you're telling people who are SNAP recipients, like, we're going to tell you how you can and cannot spend your money, that's stigmatizing to people. So every year we are homeowners, I get an income tax deduction for being a homeowner. No, the government doesn't tell me, here's how you can spend your mortgage tax deduction. Or when I used to work for the government, they never told me how I could or couldn't spend my money. It's patronizing and actually downright mean to poor people to say, here's how you can spend your money, here's how you can't spend your money. So when people start to see a program where they're restricted on what they can purchase by the food police and the government, this will discourage them from participating due to this increases in stigma. There'll also be increases in transaction costs. It's not clear what would be allowed and what would not be allowed, so if a SNAP participant ever went to a store, they'd have to spend a great deal of time and energy figuring out what's eligible, what's not eligible, and this would cause it to be more of a hassle than it's worth, especially out of those who are getting low benefit levels. And from the store's perspective, this is going to be a bureaucratic nightmare for them, because either they have to identify each and every product as SNAP eligible, or they have to say the following products are SNAP ineligible. And a lot of stores would be reluctant to do that. That's very expensive. And so this would increase the price of food as well, which especially harms low-income households. So because fewer people would be participating in SNAP, there would be substantial downturn in the health of low-income households. So these are just really bad proposals to restrict SNAP purchases. Thank you very much.